Well, hello, friends. Nick Kirby, Shay Neal, back at it again. Reds down 7-3 going to the bottom of the ninth. Jay, other than a tough night at the ballpark, tough afternoon at the ballpark for the Reds, how is your Saturday going, my friend?
It's been, like you said, other than the disappointing performance here today, I did get a solid nap in, so that's always a win.
Let's go.
No, this is I'm running out of ways to spin this, Nick. It's been a tough week for the Reds.
Yeah, just not sure there's any way to spin it other than it's been a sucky week. Hey, what else do you say? We'll do our best when this game ends. If the Reds are unable to have a miraculous comeback, which would be pretty awesome, we'll talk about it. Talk about what's next and where do we go from here and all that kind of fun stuff. Just like we've been doing all year, just like we did after the Reds lost 4 straight to the Pirates, just like when they got swept by the Brewers. Yeah,
I know it's been said before by us, but this Nationals bullpen, the back end of it's really, really solid. They've got some good arms in the back of that bullpen.
Yeah, Finnegan's been pitching really well. I don't know about the dude who had a 7 ERA that came in.
Yeah, they had who was the guy that pitched the 8th? Jordan Williams.
Yeah, he's been pitching well. Really wish it was an off day on Monday.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but that'll probably be something we'll talk about, at some point on this show. But yeah, I mean the Reds. If there's ever a team that looks like they need an off day, the Reds do. I know they have one on Thursday, then they have 2 more the next week. Yeah, I don't know. It does look like a lot of guys are tired. I mean, when you're getting no hit by a spot starter, I guess it probably is a little easier to look tired. I don't know.
Yeah, it can't be a great morale booster to have no base runners in 6 innings against Yoanna Doan. There he is, the people's manager.
I don't know if everyone who's in this chat, the people. I tell you what, if you're watching this show today, you are a true fan or a glutton for punishment, one of the two. I don't know. I got a comment. I'm gonna pull it up because I don't want to butcher it. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. The comment from someone on YouTube. I have to assume this was someone who does not watch our show often, which is fine. Casual people are just they're great, but YouTube comment was, "Are you for real blaming David Bell? Never listening to you guys again." And you know what? When I read that, that was the most encouraging comment I've ever read because I was like, you know what, Nick, you will never please anyone if you're getting comments like that.
We've had 111 episodes of Chatterbox Reds, and Nick Kirby got bashed as a David Bell hater. I've truly seen it all.
You'll never make anyone happy. You got to remember that in life. You will literally never make everyone happy. Oh, good at bat by McLean.
I'll tell you what. Another day, another good couple at bats from Matt McLean. I mean,
it's what he does.
Six. 4, 3.
That
was not fun. But I'll tell you what's going to be fun, Nick. This show. Let's do a show.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Win! Line to right field. Genius, the first run ever. With 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, get the second. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy moly, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, what's going on? Nick Kirby, Shea Neal. Welcome to Chatterbox Reds Live, your daily home for Cincinnati Reds content all season long. Another tough one for the Reds. Reds dropped their 5th straight game. Will lose a series to the lowly Washington Nationals. Other than that, Shea, how you doing?
I'm good. Other than that, I guess. I mean, that's made up a good portion of my Saturday so far. But I will say, where I'm at, we had 10 straight days over 100 degrees. And today, 85 has never felt better, Nick Kirby.
Yeah. Let's just jump into it. Let's get a box score recap. Then we'll talk about the game and what's next and all that kind of fun stuff. And if you got any questions, drop them in the chat. We'll try to get to them throughout the show. All right, Reds Nationals. It was the 9th sellout of the season for the Reds, so good to see Reds fans coming out and supporting this team. Fortunately, Andrew Abbott had a rough day. He struggled all afternoon with command, and he left with his team down 6-0 in the 6th. He was not helped out by his defense either. TJ Friedel made an error overrunning a ball, and Luke Maile made a poor throw on a runner attempting to steal third. Both of those errors resulted in runs. Reds offense was brutal to say the least early in this game. They did not get a base runner until 2 outs in the 6th when Luke Maile singled off spot starter Johan Adon. Yep, Johan Adon in his first start of the season took a perfect game, 2 batters into the 6th inning. After that, though, Ellie De La Cruz got an infield single off of the glove of Adon, and then TJ Friedel finally got the Reds offense going when he hit a 406-foot 3-run home run. That cut the Nats lead to 6-3. Derek Law got 7 outs without allowing a run, really saved some arms, which could be very important with a semi-bullpen game coming tomorrow. Daniel Duarte unfortunately gave up a run in the 9th, and then the Reds didn't score. Reds lose 7-3. Reds have now lost 5 straight games. Let's start with Andrew Abbott. Shea, tough one for him. Just really struggled all day with his command. Only threw a first pitch strike to 17 of the 31 batters that he faced. Where are we at on the 0 to panic skill for Andrew Abbott?
I'd put it at like a 4. I'm still not panicking on Andrew Abbott in the slightest. I mean, Nick, he started his career, 5-1 with a 1.6 or something like that. I mean, he was historically good. There was inevitably going to be some sort of regression back to the mean. And I don't think we've seen an Andrew Abbott start yet, maybe one, where he's just been completely uncompetitive. I think he's still gone out even when he doesn't have his premier stuff, even when he's not on his game. I think he still goes out and competes for the Cincinnati Reds. And really for a 23-year-old rookie that's kind of learning on the fly and has really had to carry this rotation, which is something we talked about before the show started. There's going to be some highs and lows. And right now we're just seeing one of the lows of Andrew Abbott, but I'm not really panicking. He just turned 24 years old in June. He's going to be just fine. He's way too talented to not figure it out.
Yeah, there's no question we put way too high of expectations on a rookie pitcher just getting his feet wet in the big leagues. I mean, he's been incredible all year. You could make a case he's been the Reds' most valuable player.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could definitely make the case he's been the Reds' most irreplaceable player this year. But yeah, I mean, look, he's had a couple rough starts. Remember, he did give up 6 runs to the Brewers, and then he bounced back with 3 really great starts, including 2 of them where he didn't allow a run in either start. So I'm interested to see how Abbott can bounce back, how he can work through this. Today, it was the command, and I guess that's a good thing. It wasn't necessarily where, he did give up 9 hits, but I think it all came back to the command because he wasn't throwing first pitch strikes and Nationals able to sit on it. It's a pretty quick fix, you would think, where he just, the command's got to be better. Some of that's just wasn't his day. But we'll see what he can do out his next start. One thing that I think is worth mentioning, and I don't want to play the blame game on this, but I think it's worth at least a conversation. So Andrew Abbott back on July 20th threw 106 pitches to the Giants when he went out and threw 8 innings. And then in his next start, threw 113 pitches in a game against the Brewers. And then obviously the last 2 starts have been rough since then. I think maybe the Reds have asked a little bit too much of Andrew Abbott as a rookie. I get eventually you want any of your starters to be able to throw 113 pitches. But for a guy in his first big league season in July, I think maybe they did try to ask a little bit too much. I don't know. What do you think about that?
They definitely asked too much of him, I think. I mean, and I think really for, 95% of the time he's answered the call. But I mean, it's not as good as Andrew Abbott's been this year. And as much as, people are upset with his last couple outings, it's a really tough position to put a 23-year-old rookie to come up and say, hey, well, when he first came up, Hunter wasn't hurt. But over the course of his first 10 starts in the majors, Nick, it's been our young, talented lefty has a fracture in his leg. Our young, talented righty is pitching awful right now and can't figure it out. And then, so it's you and Hunter, and then Hunter gets hurt. And it's like, okay, now we know you're a rookie that's made 10 career starts, but now every time you get the ball, we need you to win. And we need you to beat playoff teams. And we need you to go out there and be the ace of a potential playoff team. And that's a lot of pressure to put on a kid. I know Andrew Abbott would be the first to tell you that he lives for that kind of pressure and he wants that kind of pressure put on him. But Nick, that's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie. And something else, just to kind of piggyback on your point, you mentioned we're going to get a little bit into how many pitches he's thrown in some of his games this year. But something else that's worth noting, this is going to be by far the most innings he's ever thrown in a year of his baseball career. He was a reliever at Virginia until his junior year of college. And even then he kind of split time between the rotation and the bullpen. So this is a guy that really hasn't been a full-time starter over the course of a year until this year. And so, I mean, I don't think that, I don't think you can solely blame his last couple outings on one particular thing. I think it's a little bit of a couple things adding up, but that's definitely something to keep an eye on. He's never thrown this many innings and been this consistently throwing 6-7 innings than he has been this year.
Yeah, and I was surprised when Nick Krall said they had no plans whatsoever to shut him down. Could have also just been completely, hogwash. It's easy to say we have no plans, and then in 2 months say, well, we saw some fatigue and we now have evaluated it differently. So it could be that, but I was definitely surprised when I read that. I guess we'll just have to kind of see. How he does his next couple starts. But I mean, it's been an incredible season, tough stretch. Again, if anyone would have told me that Andrew Abbott at this point of his this far into the season would have as much success as he has, I couldn't have possibly asked for more. right?
And I'm not directing this at any one particular person or one particular fan or anything, but if you're criticizing a rookie over 6-3 with a 2.93 earned run average in 12 big league games, your expectations are higher than mine because that's pretty damn good for a rookie.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Reds offense. We'll save the one bright spot, TJ Friedl. I guess maybe you could say Luke Maley as well for a minute. Let's talk about overall. Let's talk about the effort today. So Johan Adon, obviously, I mean, when you see a guy that with the numbers that he's had in the majors, and he hasn't made a start all year, and he was very average at best in the minors, and then you come up and you struggle against him, obviously, it's what is going on. I think maybe I jinxed it because I think I said in the last time the Reds faced a really mediocre pitcher, a pitcher with low expectations, I said, yeah, the Reds have really done a good job all year against these type of pitchers, and that wasn't the case today. Adon, I mean, you do have to give him some credit. I know we hate to give the opponents credit, but this was a guy that I looked his last start in the minors. He threw 30 balls. He only threw, I think, 84 pitches, and only 54 were strikes.
Mm-hmm.
And through the first 5 innings, because I had checked it at this point in the game, he had only thrown 10 balls, and the Reds had only swung at 3 pitches that were outside of the strike zone. So, his credit, the scouting report says be patient against him, and he didn't walk a single batter today. He threw strikes and pitched a great ball game. Obviously, took a perfect game into the 6th inning before TJ Friedl had that moment. But overall, your thoughts on the offense today before we kind of get into more overall thoughts about the offense and where the team is?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I think everyone in this chat right now and everyone on this in this stream right now knows that it wasn't good enough. I think it boils down to 2 different things. One, like you said, I mean, you got to give a little bit of a credit to Adon. I mean, he was sharp. He came up. He made the most of his opportunity, and this is a guy that came out and pitched well enough to win a game. He was executing his pitches. He was not missing with a ton of pitches, and I know that's not what people want to hear right now, but that is the case for a good portion of this game. He was very good. And then the other side of it is what, needs to be said. And it's that ever since that game 1 in Wrigley, and really started in that game 1 in Wrigley, Nick, they put up 6 runs in 3 innings. But ever since that stretch, it just has not been good enough. I don't know if they're trying for the big home run to win the game every time they step into the box, but over the last 5.5 days since Marcus Stroman left that game 1 in Wrigley, the offense has been very pedestrian and very beatable, which is something that they really haven't been at any stretch this year.
And there's a couple of things at play here. Number one, I think these guys are tired. I mean, it looks that way. Obviously, when you're losing 5 in a row, it's a lot easier to have body language that looks like you're tired than if you win 5 in a row. But I do think they're tired. Reds have only had 1 off day since the All-Star break, and that includes they had to play a suspended game 2 after a rain delay, so almost like a semi-doubleheader earlier on a July 18th. So I do think they're tired. This is a lot of players that have never played a full 162 game season, and they're in the dog days of August, as cliche as that is, but that's where they are right now.
Yeah.
So the Reds have an off day on Thursday. I think it's going to be incredibly well needed, and then they're off the next Monday and Thursday, 2 days off while they're at home. They don't even have to travel for that. So I think that is really needed for this team. And then I think there's 2 other things at play here. Number one, baseball's a weird sport where random things happen. The Reds take 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, then they lose the series to the Nationals. That kind of stuff happens in baseball all the time. And then on top of that, you have a team that is so young, that has so many rookies. I mean, Joey Votto is the only tenured player in this entire lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2 factors together, I mean, it's just a recipe for a team that's going to be inconsistent. They won 12 in a row. They've had a bunch of losing streaks like this. I just think it's the absolute recipe for this type of baseball. And then one other point before I hand it back to you and shut up, Shay, is Jake Fraley is a huge, huge, huge loss for this team against right-handed pitching. He's the best hitter, the best proven hitter at this stage against right-handed pitching, and the Reds have really got to find a way to overcome that because he is a huge loss, and I really hope he's not out long because that is that's tough, man. That's almost as tough as any injury all year to overcome.
Yeah, that Fraley loss is huge, like you said. Just to kind of get my point started, I saw a comment from a Nate Johnson. I'd appreciate if you could highlight it, Nick, about the average baseball team thing, because I kind of had a point on this regardless, and I think this kind of works out well with it. Now, I think there's certainly an argument that with the ups and downs of being a young team, that this could be described as an average to slightly above average baseball team right now. But I think something else that's worth noting, and something that I think has been touched on a couple times on this show, is, this team is built and kind of going through the exact same up and down stretch that the 2022 Baltimore Orioles did. The Baltimore Orioles got off to a blistering start last year. Of course, they called up a lot of their top young guys. Adley Rutschman made his debut, really struggled at the start of his rookie season. But the Baltimore Orioles were scorching hot to start 2022. And we got to August, and they kind of fell off a little bit, and they missed the playoffs by a couple games. They finished, I think, 5 or 6 games over 500. And I'm not saying that the Orioles and the Reds are the exact same team in the exact same situation, Nick, but I look at that Orioles team from last year, about the same kind of timeline as the Reds, a lot of young pieces getting their first taste of big league baseball and just kind of ran out of gas. And let me tell you something. If you haven't been scoreboard watching, the 2023 Baltimore Orioles are really damn good and have a good chance to win this whole thing. So I think it's a decent point that the 2023 Cincinnati Reds are probably not quite the juggernaut that we thought they could be at some point. But that doesn't mean that the 2024 Cincinnati Reds won't be much better, and the 2025 Cincinnati Reds will be much better. This is a bunch of 23-year-olds that are taking on competitive playoff chase baseball for the first time together. It was inevitable that there were going to be moments of struggle.
And the one thing the Reds got going for them that the 2022 Baltimore Orioles didn't have going for them is Reds playing the NL Central. And they're not trying to chase down a whole division of really, really good teams. So, again, we'll see how it plays out. Said a couple weeks ago, I thought it was a 50-50 shot at best the Reds make the playoffs this year. So, again, my expectations are kind of where they've been. We're scoreboard watching right now. Texas Rangers just won. So guess what? Reds still hold a playoff spot. So they can't lose it either today. Worst case scenario is Reds will have a half game lead on the third wild card spot on August 6th. So that's where we're at. Reds still hold a playoff spot. I don't honestly believe it. I kind of had to triple check that today, but I was like, if the Rangers win, they still hold a playoff spot. So, all right, let's talk about something a little more positive because I'm tired of being negative. It's not really in my DNA if you've watched the show all year. TJ Friedl, big home run for him. I believe he had 2 hard hit balls in his last start on Thursday, the day's run this week. Really looks like he's starting to find it again after his first poor month, his month of July, first poor month out of his last 5. Big home run. He absolutely crushed that ball today. That wasn't a GABP special. That was a home run in all 30 parks. TJ Friedl, Reds need him, right?
Yes, they do. 100%. No, it was a good swing by TJ. I saw somebody say, it kind of made me laugh. I wasn't aware TJ Friedl could hit a ball that hard. But no, it was a great swing. It was a nice little 2-out rally. And, you thought for a minute it might wake the guys up a little bit. But a guy you mentioned, Jake Fraley, being out for what sounds like it'll be at least a couple weeks with that stress fracture in his toe. A guy like TJ Friedl becomes even more important because he's now one of their best defensive outfielders. He's also one of their best left-handed hitters. So big swing for him today, and hopefully he gets on a little bit of a hot streak here to help minimize that loss of Jake Fraley.
Yeah, shout out to Luke Maile. I don't know if we need to have a discussion about Luke Maile, but he had 2 hits today, broke up the perfect game. Just something to change the momentum. So shout out to Luke. Good day today from him. And then also shout out to Derek Law, 2 in the third innings. With what we're going to talk about here in a second about tomorrow, obviously him getting 7 outs was very big today. Let's talk about tomorrow, because I'm excited about tomorrow. Leon Richardson will be making his Cincinnati Reds debut. I don't know if they've officially announced yet. I know that coming into the day, the announcement was that Richardson would either start or come out of the bullpen as their bulk pitcher. Richardson, got a whole bunch of notes on him, so hang tight here. Former second-round pick in 2018, former Reds top 10 prospect. He lost a big year of development back in 2020 with there being no minor league season. Wasn't brought to the Reds alternate site until the final 2 weeks of the season. And then he needed Tommy John surgery in 2021 after making 18 starts. So he didn't pitch from August 25th, 2021 until April 7th of this year. Richardson, if you think back to last November, he was kind of a surprising 40-man ad, because in November you have to protect players that have reached a certain stage, a certain amount of tenure in the minor leagues from the Rule 5 draft. He was kind of one of the surprising ads. I don't remember a lot of people actually having him as one of the guys that they were projecting. But Nick Kroll said back then he's got a chance to be a legitimate big league pitcher. And, well, tomorrow he's going to be a big league pitcher. So Richardson this year, he started 2023 at Low A Daytona. And that was actually a step back, because he was actually at Dayton before Tommy John surgery. Reds started him there because they wanted him to start the season in warmer weather to help him coming back post Tommy John. And Richardson has just absolutely dominated at every level this year. At Daytona, he only made 3 starts, only gave up 1 run. Chattanooga is where he spent the bulk of his time. He had a 2.15 ERA over 46 innings pitched. And then he made 1 start at Louisville, and he pitched 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. So he's been incredible. Don't expect a long start from Richardson. He's been on a very strict pitch limit or innings limit this year. Most of Richardson's starts this season have been 3 innings. The most pitches he's thrown in a game have been 76 for Chattanooga back on June 17th. That was when he threw a season-high 4 innings. He has 4 starts in total where he went 4 innings, but he only threw 46 pitches in his last and only start for Louisville. That was back on July 28th. So I would probably guess here we're looking at maybe 60 pitches as maybe the max. That's if everything's going well. I can't really see them going much more than that. My guess, just announced, Leon Richardson will officially be starting tomorrow. So the Reds, Charlie Goldsmith just tweeted that out. So he will officially be starting. And I think that's the right decision, especially with Derek Law being used. He's kind of the only guy that has experience as the opener.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Richardson's fastball in his start at Louisville was up at max out at 98.7 and averaged 97.4. He's got a great fastball, got nasty stuff. Really, really excited to see Richardson, and glad the Reds are giving him an opportunity. And what an incredible story for him, coming back from Tommy John, starting at Low A and working his way all the way up to the majors.
Yeah, you're right. His story is impressive. I mean, he was one of those prospects that was really kind of left out to kind of die during the pandemic, where he didn't get to play in the minor league season in 20, and then he had that injury and missed all of 21. So Nick, he went more than 2 full seasons without pitching in professional baseball. And the fact that he's worked his way back up to, opening a game tomorrow is very, very impressive. And you talked about his fastball, very impressive, sits about 98, 99, like you said. But I want to talk a little bit about his changeup, because I read a stat earlier today that Devin Williams, the airbender, and the guy we love so much, the Milwaukee Brewers 9th inning guy, he is the only pitcher in Major League Baseball that has an average of 17 inches of depth on his changeup. And there's a guy by the name of Leon Richardson that also has 17 inches of depth on his changeup. And that's something I'm very excited to see. 17 inches of depth. It's also been tracked to move 14 inches horizontally. So I'm not saying he's going to have Devin Williams' changeup, Nick. I don't know if anyone in the history of baseball is going to have Devin Williams' changeup. But what I'm saying is he has a pretty dang good changeup, and I'm very excited to see. My favorite sequence a pitcher can have is a really good fastball with a really good changeup. I think it's worked since the dawn of time. I think it's going to work until the end of time. And it sounds like Lyon Richardson has one of the best fastball changeup sequences we've seen by a Reds prospect in quite some time.
Yeah, and I know there's been a lot of questions about, Connor Phillips. Why is he not up here as a guy that could obviously give you more length? I just don't think the Reds think Connor Phillips is ready, and he's walking over 6 batters per 9 so far at Louisville. I just think they want him to correct his command issues.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I don't think they want to put a guy up that they don't think they're putting him in a position where he can't succeed, and especially a guy of Connor Phillips' potential, a guy that has a chance to be if not a top of the rotation, at least middle of your rotation guy, a guy that you can count as a big time rotation piece for the next 5-6 years. So I don't think they think he's ready. We talked to Jack McMullen, the Indianapolis Indians AAA broadcaster. He didn't think he was ready. I cannot wait to see Connor Phillips. I think he's got incredible potential. His strikeouts are great, just like Richardson. Richardson strikes out about the same amount of batters. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a good move for the Reds. And one thing that is interesting here is this is like the perfect time for Richardson.
Yes,
if you're going to use him with the off days that the Reds have up. So essentially, you could use him here on tomorrow, right. And then his next start would come next Friday against the Pirates, but that's coming after an off day. So you'll have a fresh bullpen, and then you could make his next start be against the Blue Jays, also coming after an off day. So it really is like almost a really gift of a time that the Reds needed to call up a starter like Richardson, because they can really manipulate it to where they can have a fresh bullpen behind him. Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head, Nick. I mean, I think my favorite thing about Lyon Richardson is the flexibility that's going to come with him. Where right now, it seems like the Reds are going to use him as, that like glorified opener role, get through the lineup one time and try to get the team off to a good start and, show some nasty stuff. But I think something else I'm really excited about with Lyon Richardson, Nick, Hunter Green is supposed to, his target deadline, August 20th. That's 2 weeks from tomorrow. When Hunter Green comes back, you could easily slide Lyon Richardson to the bullpen and make him either a long reliever in case a starter doesn't pitch very well, or you could with the stuff he has, you could bring him in the 7th, 8th inning to help out Lucas Sims. And that's a fresh arm in the bullpen that's got nasty stuff to try and help you walk down big games as we head down the stretch. So Lyon Richardson, the age-old saying, Nick, is if you can pitch, they will find a spot for you. This guy's got great stuff. He's been showing all year. He's ready to pitch in the big leagues. And I think whether that's as a starter or a back-end reliever, I think he's going to be very impressive.
And speaking of Hunter Green, he's about to take the mound in about 5 minutes for the Louisville Bats. So definitely excited to see that. That's why I turned off my camera, because I had to get that set up on my TV. Had to switch a device to get that. And Chase Petty's about to start too. We got a really great night of Reds minor league action. So
have they announced a pitch count for Hunter today?
3 innings. Three innings. And Vladimir Gutierrez is also pitching after him, supposed to throw 2 innings. Vlad is, of course, going to be, we've talked about they're going to plan to try to use him as a reliever this year. They're not ruling out him going back as a starter next year, but I think that's a fine decision. I think they're going to need help in the bullpen. And if that gets him back quicker, that's fine. I don't necessarily think you need to be, trying to rush Vladimir Gutierrez back in the rotation off Tommy John surgery. But very excited to see Hunter Green tonight. Very excited to see Connor Phillips again tonight. The other game that's in action from the Reds minor leagues right now is Chattanooga, and they're up 8-0 over Tennessee. Rhys Hines, he's 2 for 3. He has 2 home runs tonight. Now 18 home runs on the year. It might be time to send Rhys Hines up to AAA. We were kind of like, he's kind of blocked right now with all these outfitters, but with Fraley hurt, maybe some other potential guys that might struggle. He could be a guy maybe you could think about bringing up to the big leagues this year as a right-handed bat option and maybe a platoon role or something like that. He's had an incredible season.
And that's crazy to think about, Nick, because he's really impressed me when he was first drafted. I mean, his first year in pro ball, I mean, he had some holes with that swing, and I wasn't sure, I know I saw the power when they drafted him, but I wasn't sure how well it was going to translate. He's taken steps forward this year, and he's been a really, really, really good player all year long. So it's crazy to think, but you're absolutely right. He could be one of those candidates for a September call-up.
Yeah. No question about it. Let's go back to the starters. For the Nats, it's going to be Jake Irvin, 3-5 with a 4.86 ERA this season. He did face the Reds back on July 3rd. Pretty solid outing, actually. Quality start, 6 innings, 3 earned runs. Votto hit a 2-run homer off him. Irvin's kind of just been good enough for the Nats. He hasn't allowed more than 4 earned runs in a start since May 14th. That was his 3rd start of the season. Coming off a really good start against the Brewers, where he only allowed 2 runs over 5 1/3 innings. Mm-hmm. And he's a guy that's really improved his walk rate. He was walking a lot of guys early in the year, but over his last 8 starts, he's got a walks per 9 of 2.5. So this is a guy the Reds, he's not a great pitcher, but he's a guy that has been pitching pretty well. Going to be a challenge for the Reds. Reds need to obviously find a way to at least send Washington out of town with 1 win, right,
yeah.
Jay?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And just to add on to your point about Irvin, he, first of all, is a big dude. 6'6", 230 is what he's listed as. And he looks every bit of it. And then also, Nick, he was not a huge strikeout pitcher to start the year. Only 22 strikeouts in May and 27 innings. Even less than that, 15 strikeouts in 20 2/3 in June. But in 2 of his last 3 starts, he had 9 strikeouts against the Giants and 7 strikeouts against the Nats. So something to keep an eye on. He's starting to get more swings and misses. So Reds not only going to have to find a way to hit some balls hard, they're also going to have to lay off some of that stuff out of the zone, because he started to figure out a way to get some more Ks.
Yeah. So obviously, game Reds need to get tomorrow. We're looking forward to it. As we mentioned, Reds still hold a playoff spot. It's been a brutal week. But this team has found a way to respond all year. Let's see if they can do it again. Well, Thanks everyone for watching today. That's all that I got. Not going to belabor this anymore. As always, Chatterbox Reds podcast. I'll recap all the minor league action, including Hunter Green's rehab, Vladimir Gutierrez, Chase Petty, all that. That'll be in your podcast feed in the morning. And so, we'll be back tomorrow. Clay Snowden will be filling in our last Trace Fowler-less show, unless Trace is able to join us live from his golf trip. So
the way they're playing, I don't know if he wants to join us live.
That's true. He's left us out to dry. But as always, thanks for joining us today. Better days ahead for our Cincinnati Reds. We'll talk again tomorrow.